Hey everybody, welcome to today's live stream. Hope everybody's doing good today. So we're going to be making some coasters. I bought some molds from Amazon and they're kind of like the geode shape. And I thought it'd be cool to cast something in these. So a few weeks ago, maybe a week and a half or so, the leaves were all changing and I was like, I think I'm going to grab a few of these things and press them, which is going to dry them out so that we can cast them. And I think a coaster is a perfect way to use leaves. You could maybe do like platters or something like that, but one of the problems that you have with leaves is they tend to work best in like flat things. So coasters seem like a perfect idea, especially since I had just picked these guys up. So I have a link if anybody wants to check these out. I just got them on Amazon. This is an affiliate link, and there's a link down in the show notes as well. But you can snag these. They were cheap. I think they're Just Resin or Let's Resin or I don't know, some kind of brand. They seem like, you know, why not pick them up, try them out. And yeah, so let's switch views. So what I've done here is I pressed the flowers and I just put some weight on top of this. These are a couple of melamine panels. I put some wax paper in between them. And voila, we have some leaves. And so it saved the color pretty well. Let me switch to the overhead here view so I can kind of show you guys a little bit better and see what I'm doing. So I got pretty good, where's the camera? It's upside down. Pretty good color in these things. Oh, I just broke one. Oopsies. They're fragile, guys. Watch out. We got more of them. So I grabbed a few different colors of things and I thought it'd be kind of fun. I also kind of picked some smaller ones because these little coasters aren't very big. So I figured we could probably put, you know, a couple of these guys in there, put some resin on them, maybe add, I don't know, a little bit of some effects around there. I brought out I thought some of this is called Autumn Fire glitter. I thought that might be kind of neat. I don't know. Mostly I'm thinking probably clear, but we can do all kinds of stuff. And I thought I've been kind of playing around more with Amazing Clear Cast Plus. And this I think is going to be a really good resin for this type of deal. It is, so, you know, for most of the things that I'm doing, I prefer using Alumilite Clear Slow Set. It's a little bit thinner viscosity. It's a quick setup time. All of that stuff. There's a lot of things that for turning blanks and things where I just don't really want to have to wait around for the resin to set up. 12 minutes is kind of like the perfect timing thing for me. If I'm doing color swirl blanks, I don't want to wait 45 minutes or longer. 12 minutes is you know, at the max is a good thing for me. However, Amazing Clear Cast is pretty thick, and that's one of the reasons I don't really like using it a lot. It's like kind of like mixing up honey, I would say, is kind of the consistency, like thin honey, let's say. And I just don't really usually like that too much. It takes longer to stir it up and, you know, mess around. I just generally prefer clear slow set. It just works great. But Amazing Clear Cast being thicker actually has some advantages in certain cases. And I think this is going to be one of those where it doesn't tend to like move around as much. It's kind of, because it's thick, it can kind of stay there. And so especially when we start doing these, I have a couple that have like a little thing in the middle. These really are like geode shape. So I thought we'd do a couple, the ones that don't have a little thing in the middle. We'd make leaves out of these guys and then try to make some kind of geode, you know, like the rock look, whatever. Hopefully you guys know what geodes are. But I've seen other people do this on other kinds, you know, lots of other different types of channels that do resin. But I think being kind of thick, one of the things that you want to do with this, you want to kind of create bands of color in these things. That's kind of what most people do. And I was thinking that being thicker, it'll probably sort of stay in place and give you a little bit more time to create those bands. And you probably wouldn't really need to pressurize it. You could. I don't think I'm even gonna though. So I just thought it'd be kind of, the other thing is it also has a longer working time. So there's just a few things going on with the Amazing Clear Cast and Plus in this case. That way we have the UV protection. So that's why I chose that. So anyway, I hope you guys are all, like I said, doing good. We had a storm last week and then it's storming again today, so it's all windy and crazy outside. So it's a little bit chilly around here. Hopefully you guys are staying warm And I know that there's like hurricanes and all kinds of craziness going on. It's kind of warm in some of the, I think like the south area. So I don't know what's going on in your neck of the woods, but hopefully you guys are staying safe and having, you know, decent weather, not getting too freezing or anything like that. So who do we got? We got tons of people here. Let me scroll. I'm going to scroll up to the top real quick. And it looks like Stace was here first. Rich was right in second place, and then Doug. Nice. You guys were here early. Sorry I took a little bit. I was actually ready to go, and then it was like one of those like, oh, I got to do some last minute things, and I always end up late. So, you know me, fashionably late. So anyway, let's see who else is here. I'm just going to kind of scroll through. Looks like Gretchen's here. What's Gretchen doing here for? Don't you have to work? What's going on? So let's see. I'm going to scroll through and just kind of pick out some names here. So we got Billy Burt's here, Steve Coombs. Chase is here. Nice. You're never late. If you're like 5 minutes late, that means you're like right on time. And Nancy's here. Mike McEwen. Chad's here. What's up, buddy? The cat and the fish. And let's see who else. Dominic's here. Let's see. Dominic has a question. Do different colors have different viscosities? No, I don't really think that color, like, I don't think you can say, oh, do the different colors maybe, is that what you're saying? Like in this, I'm gonna answer two things. So I don't think that a specific color has like some specific viscosity. It just depends on the raw materials. In this case, one of them's blue, one of them's kind of clear. There's like a slight difference between the viscosities of the two. But once you put it all together, they're both pretty thick. I mean, if you kind of slosh this around, it's pretty thick stuff. I think that the blue is a little bit thicker. I've been actually kind of surprised. This stuff, especially with the kind of cooler temperatures in the shop, hasn't really thickened up a lot. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's not too cold. It's like 68 in here, but you know, it's cooler than like 80 in the summer. From Belarus, thanks for coming and joining the fun. I'm glad you made it. That's cool. I think that might be a first. I don't think I've seen anyone from Belarus yet. That's cool. People from all over the world. We got to love this technology. It's fun. So how come the boss doesn't have a wrench? I don't think the boss would know what to do with a wrench. So let's see here. It's like summer on the East Coast. Yeah, it's so weird. It had been kind of cold for you guys. Like the whole autumn so far had just been like pleasant, like nice, like like that beginning of fall, kind of like warm weather here. And so we're actually excited for the cold and some moisture coming, because this whole summer has been just dry. Obviously, you guys know about all the fires in California. Well, we were in the same boat basically. It was just dry. So. Anyway, all right, let's see here. In St. Louis, it's 47 degrees. Yeah, you guys are pretty cool. I think I don't know what it is outside here, but I know that the winds are coming. So with the wind chill, it is really cold. I'm actually really cold standing in here, and it's not even that cold in the shop, which means there's probably wind moving around in the shop because this place isn't sealed up amazingly. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is the leaves, I think. And I just want to kind of think. So real quick before we get started with the coasters. So the Patreon hangout on last Friday, we did snake sheds. So this is not snake skin per se, like we didn't skin a snake. This is like they shed their skins, and that's what we cast. And so this one turned out pretty cool. I like the dark ones. And I had some of the, I don't know exactly what species, I forget what species both of these were, but the kind of clear looking ones, I wasn't sure how cool those would be. They're interesting, but definitely the other one is a little bit more interesting and clear. So that one turned out pretty good. And then we also made some pen blanks, and I don't know, guys. There's lots of like cracking and stuff. It's probably, I don't know if you can see, but there's like massive cracking in some of these. One of them I can literally just break in half. And I'm not entirely certain if it had to do with the snake shed itself, or because it seems like we got decent bonding. Like there is no indications of a weird bonding that I can see so far in this one. With the pen blanks, I was like, the resin was really setting up, and I was just kind of shoving it in there. I was a lot more careful on the first one, and so I'm not sure if the pen blanks were my fault more, or if it is something, you know, like a bonding issue with the snake skins. So we're going to be turning probably next week on Wednesday. I got a couple of the snake sheds. I actually got some pen blanks ready. And so even though they're pretty cracky and a lot of the bonding is kind of messed up, I had no problems drilling these out and tubing them and getting everything going. So we're gonna probably, and it's just a Sierra. I made two because I have a feeling one may come apart. So we'll probably be turning that on Wednesday next week. And so it should be kind of fun, but the replay should be up before that. So for the Patreon live hangouts, we do them kind of private for the patrons live. In the first half, I do a little demo, and then the second half, I do kind of a Q&A that way. And I don't do anything else. I'm just focused on the chat with those guys. Just in case anybody has questions or anything like that, I can kind of definitely focus. I just don't have as much time on the regular streams to focus on questions the whole time. So that's that half, but I don't want to put that up because I think it's kind of boring for most people. So I edit out the first half, the demo, and then just post that later. So that should be coming up in a couple days before we do the turning. So if you want to see the snakeskin demo thing, that'll be coming up soon. And then I also have a video that should be up on Sunday normally. So I'm going to try and maybe edit that video and try and get that thing up tomorrow. Not the video, the live stream replay from the Hangout. And then Sunday will be kind of a normal video. I got a pretty cool project that I made. I was just kind of messing around in the shop. So anyhow, so that's what's going on. Let's do the leaves first and see what we can make with these things. So the way that I'm kind of going to approach this, I'm just going to kind of wet the bottom, like put a little bit of resin down in the bottom. And then that's another reason why I kind of like the Amazing Clear Cast. I think that the thickness of it will allow me to just pour some resin down in the bottom and get the leaf basically off the bottom of the mold. Kind of have a little bit of a layer of resin, and without having to wait for it to cure or do any of that kind of stuff, I think I can just put a leaf on top and then carefully pour more resin on the top of that. And I think we should be okay, and the leaf will be kind of suspended. I don't think that it's, as long as, and I'm gonna have to pour really carefully with this, but I don't think it's gonna really move around. I think we're gonna keep that layer of resin on the bottom part so that the leaf is kind of suspended. That's my idea, that's what I'm hoping anyway. So we'll have to kind of see how it goes. But the nice thing is the Amazing Clear Cast, definitely for these leaf coasters, we're going for clear, because we have to see inside, and the Amazing Clear Cast Plus has really good UV inhibitor in it, so they shouldn't yellow for many, many years. And so a lot of you guys probably know, I mean, most epoxies, pretty much every epoxy is gonna yellow eventually, even if it has UV inhibitors and all that kind of stuff. It's a chemical thing. And actually Alumilite put a video up on their channel, on YouTube, totally explaining why epoxy's yellow. So it's definitely worth checking out. Go and check out that video. I didn't really exactly know before that video exactly why, what caused the yellowing, and it's a pretty interesting video. So definitely check it out, and it's a short one too. So anyway, let's see here. Anna, let's see, where's Anna? Anna Stevens, how's it going? A live resin project. Yeah, it should be fun, as long as I don't screw anything up. And I have good news. I actually did a 4-inch sphere burl, like the faux burl, and I used deep pour. I wanted to try and see how that worked in a little bit more normal situation than what I've done with it so far. And it turned out great, so I'm pretty excited about that. I don't think there's not going to be a video or anything. I was just kind of testing it out. I do have a good project video coming soon, someday. I want to make a baseball bat, basically, it's like going to be a hybrid baseball bat. And so I'm going to be using the deep pour for that. And this was kind of a little bit of a test just to make sure it wasn't going to overheat or something like that. I think we're going to be fine. With the baseball bat one, but because there's no way, I'm going to be kind of casting it on the full piece of wood, there's no way I could pressurize it. So again, deep pour, not, having that 2-hour working time should be a good thing for that project. It's just, there's also what I want to do is I want to crack, I want it to be like a cracked bat, but the problem is I got to take a 3-inch blank and somehow crack it in half. And I just really haven't figured out exactly the best way to do that yet. So that's why that project's being held back. So be looking for that someday. It should be coming along soon. I think worst case scenario, I'm just going to like back over it or do something like that with my truck. I don't know. So let's see here. Let's see here. What else is happening? Okay, I just wanted to make sure here. I wasn't missing anything. Stace said, hey, Zach, I wasn't sure. Okay. Yeah, I think there's a link to the Patreon stuff down in the show notes if you want to do that. It's for supporting the show, and then the patrons get kind of this extra once a month hangout Q&A, and kind of I just do a little bit of a resin casting demo at first, and then like I said, I know a lot of people that are kind of getting into resin casting a lot of times have a lot, may have a lot of questions or maybe running into problems with something they're trying, and that's why I wanted to have the Patreon thing as kind of a dedicate some time where I am strictly focused on that. And so it gives you guys a little bit more, like one-on-one support kind of stuff like that. We do that once a month. So just to kind of give you info on that. All right, so let's switch views and let's get rolling here, all right? So I'm going to move some of this junk out of the way. I kind of gathered a few things, some gilding flakes and some turquoise stuff and some other whatever. These are all going to be for the geode type things that we're going to do. I think we can have a lot of fun with that. Get out of my way. And we got some, I was thinking on one of these, which one are we on here? On one of them, I'm kind of thinking we'll just go with probably clear on one of them, and then maybe add a little bit of glitter in another one. We can maybe put some like micro starlight in one and just kind of keep it clear, and then do a little bit of, what is this stuff called? Holographic glitter in the other one. All right, so I have no clue how much I'm going to need for these. I have no. I could do my rice trick, I guess. Did you guys see that video? That was a recent one. So why don't we do that? A lot of times I just wing it, and I'm like, I'll just make up a lot of it. But, and actually, you know what? We're going to wing it. I'm just going to mix up a good bucket of it, and then that way we can kind of use it. I think I can probably use the first, the whole cup to do all 4 of these things. So I'm just going to mix up a bunch, and if we have some left over, we will do some other playing around with it. All right, so Amazing Clear Cast is a volume measurement, so I don't need that scale. So you're going to want to grab a graduated cup, and then it's a 1-to-1. Let me just double check. Yep, 1-to-1 by volume. So let's say that we needed 600 milliliters or whatever the number is. You just need to put equal parts of the part A and the part B in your cup. But this is not measured. You do not want to do it by weight. It's not going to work right because it's not equal amounts. Like they don't have the same specific gravity. So, one part of A weighed out is not going to equal one part of B. You got to do it by volume. This is one of the things where a lot of people have problems. They assume that Alumilite is just like one resin. They see people using, like I use Alumilite Clear Slow Set typically on this show, in most of my videos, and that is a weight measurement. So they see people using Alumilite, weighing it, and then they buy a different Alumilite product. A lot of times this one, Amazing Clear Cast, and they're like, it didn't set up, it didn't work. That's why you got to do it by volume, otherwise that ratio gets thrown off. And if the ratio is thrown off, everything's gone to pot. All right, so I'm just gonna, let's see here. This is really not that much resin, but I just want to mix up a bunch and that way I can make lots of different cups of stuff and have fun with it. So let's see here. I think what I'm gonna do is measure out, I think this is 400 milliliters. One thing that I kind of like to do when I'm doing volume things is I like to grab a Sharpie and just put a little mark by the numbers that I need to hit. An extra mark, because there's like a billion marks on this thing, and sometimes it gets a little confusing. That way you shouldn't miss it when you have extra marks. Another one that's actually a good way to go with this, instead of grabbing a black Sharpie, grab a red one or some other color. And that way, like you frankly, if you miss it, then it's all on you, you know, if you mess up. But that way you just kind of know, you know, which tick mark am I shooting for. So let me get these leaves a little bit out of the way. I think what I'm going to do is put these molds on this little tray so that when we're done with our leaves, I can pick it up and take it away. Real quick, what I'm going to do here, these things have a little bit of dust in them. They've been kind of sitting in the shop for a couple days, or I mean a couple weeks. And so let me go blow these off with an air hose real quick. You could wipe them out with denatured alcohol if you wanted as well. Whatever you need to do to get that surface nice and clean. You don't want any dust or chunkies. You got to clean the chunkies out of your mold, otherwise they're going to sit there. Especially, this is extremely important if you're going to be doing clear, you know, which we are for this one. You really need to make sure that your mold's clean, otherwise you can get just, you know, little dust particles and stuff, and it's just a pain when everything's perfect and then there's like this dust particle that you got in there because you didn't clean the mold. It's just, it kills you. So let's see here. Let me spin this around. There's my mark. So I'm going to put 200 milliliters. And realistically, a lot of this, it's kind of arbitrary. It doesn't really matter what numbers you use on this thing. It's just you need to use the same scale and put equal parts. So we're going to put 200 milliliters of part A and another 200, which will take us up to 400 of the part B. So really important, you know, you'll be pouring this stuff in. So we got the part A. It kind of has a little bit of a bluish tint, but this stuff is going to turn out dead clear. The important thing when you're doing volume is to not trust your eyeballs standing above the line. You need to kind of get close, and then you need to get your eyeballs on the same level as that mark to see exactly where it's at. And I can see, if I get way down, I'm just slightly under that line. But it looks like I'm pretty much dead. It actually almost looks like I'm above it if I'm looking from above. So you need to make sure that you look at your level in the cup on the same level. And another thing that you really need to do is make sure that, you know, whatever desk you're on is level as well. That is kind of important. So if I get down, that's pretty much dead on now. And I'm just going to put this on the ground because I'm just going to mix up a bunch, and I think this should be enough. Now, worst case scenario, we can always mix up more. If I've undershot it for some reason, I don't really think that's going to be the case, though. I think we're probably going to have extra here. So again, equal part B, another 200 milliliters, part B. So we're going up to the 400 line. Okay, let's see how I did. Ooh, I did that one perfect. So we are good. All right, let's see here. Is Gretchen still in the chat? Wow, that's fun. Do I spray those with mold release? I don't think it really matters in this case. You could. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. Mold release, sometimes it's better not to use it, especially when you're putting stuff in there and, you know, messing around. Like, you don't want adhesion issues. It will, I don't know, I could go both ways on this. I've never used these or even made anything like this, so I don't really, I guess technically I don't really know. But I don't think that I've seen most people using that. And mold release, really in this case, like the silicone is going to release your any kind of resin. As long as these molds are well made, you know, they're going to release the resin, no problem. I would say the only thing that you're going to get with mold release is maybe extend the life of the molds a little bit. But I mean, these things were like $10 for 4 of them. Like, I don't really care if, you know, how much were they? I actually have the link up here just to let you guys know. $12.99 for all 4 of these. So to me, frankly, I'd rather just, if for something, you know, for some reason something goes wrong, I'll just buy another set, you know. but I don't think you're going to really have trouble demolding this stuff. So let's get I'm going to get the overhead view just so you can kind of see this. This is much thicker, and you can actually look up the specifications. This stuff is like 3 or 4 times as thick as Alumilite Clear Slow Set. It's just like, it's like honey, you know, like kind of fresh honey. So you're not going to be like whipping this and mixing it really fast. Frankly, your arm is probably going to get, like your hand is going to get a little bit tired, kind of holding onto that stick. You could maybe use like a paddle mixer, but what's going to end up happening is you're going to mix a ton of bubbles. Because it's so much thicker, big bubbles get kind of mixed into this really easily. So I recommend probably, especially for something like this, just, you know, mix it kind of slow. It's going to take a while. Your hand may get a little tired, but I think you're best off doing it like that. So when you're mixing resin, you want to make sure that you're scraping the sides of the cup real well. What you don't want is to leave part A or part B unmixed somehow in the cup. If that happens, then you're going to have some kind of problems. You know, you may have some, if there's enough that didn't get mixed together, you may throw off the ratio. But worst case scenario, or bare minimum, you're going to have little pockets of part A that's just liquid, that hasn't cured, and it may end up like a liquid spot in the middle of your casting. So you don't want that. Make sure that you mix it up real well. You can kind of tell. There's some visual cues. I don't know how well you guys, let me get somewhere. So you see how it's not really that clear right now. And there's like little wispy trails. If you look in here, there's like wispy trails of unmixed resin. It looks kind of hazy. And so what you want is no wispy trails at all. It should be dead clear when you're done mixing it. So this stuff, like epoxies that have a long working time, generally, probably, it's more about mixing it well than how long you do. But just to give you kind of a ballpark figure, I mean, you may mix it for like 3 to 5 minutes, depending on, you know, the resin and all that stuff. It may take a while. But every once in a while, you know, kind of stop and look in there. Do you see any kind of wispy haziness? Scrape the sides a couple times. Make sure you get those scraped really well, and then mix. A lot of times you'll pull some off the sides or the bottom. You want to make sure you're getting the bottom as well. And so just kind of keep going. One of the biggest, the two main problems with resin casting that people run into, the two things that cause most of the problems for people, is either they didn't measure it right, you know, and so again, in the case of Amazing Clear Cast, very often people assume that it's a weight measurement, pull out a scale, and then that's thrown off, and their casting project is ruined. Usually, it's not. There's nothing you can really do. Or the other thing is they don't mix it enough, and that can screw your project up too. So make sure to, you know, make sure you measure and mix very well. Do a really diligent job with those two things, and you're on the road to success right there. Just making sure that it cures properly. Power mix it? No, thanks. In some cases, like if I was going to pressurize these, I may, you know, maybe I might do that, but I mean, you can see I'm not even really mixing this very much. Like if I was doing that speed of mixing with Alumilite Clear Slow Set, there would be like almost no bubbles, like just micro bubbles. But I mean, there's some big bubbles, chunky bubbles in there from me just kind of stirring this around. So definitely give it a good stir. I don't know how long I've been mixing this for, but it looks pretty good. There's no more wispy trails coming out. I like to just, you know, once everything's really clear, you're not seeing wispy trails, give it 30 seconds more, a minute more, just to make absolutely sure. Another one is scrape off the mixing stick. Kind of forgot to do that. Sometimes you can get, like I said, unmixed part A or part B stuck on the stick, and you haven't mixed it in. So do that, and I think we should be pretty good. I'm just looking here. So now it looks pretty much clear. Like it's like dead clear at this point. You can see right through it. There's bubbles, but it's very clear. Resin earrings as gifts. Oh my goodness. You should come out to the shop sometime and we might be able to do that. All right, so let's see here. What I'm going to do is, I like having these little condiment cups. They're just a little bit smaller and easier to kind of pour stuff out of. We're going for clear resin pretty much, I think, on these. And we'll have an opportunity to have some fun when we do the Geode ones. So if anybody wants to super chat, you'll get pics of colors and stuff that we put in the Geode ones. We're going to have a little bit more fun with those ones. You can do all kinds of different, colors and effects and things in those. Let's get this going over here. There, you guys can kind of see what's going on. I think I might, doesn't look very bright. Kind of just do this a little bit. Maybe that'll fix it a little bit. All right. Yeah. Still looks kind of a little. Let me try putting a light back behind this thing. See what that does. These things are kind of tough to focus on because they're all white and everything. Anyway. All right, so you guys can see what's going on now. So what I'm going to do is just kind of wet the bottom of these things first. A little bit of resin. I'm going to probably need a little bit more in this cup. Let's get some more in there. Not a lot. We just need to kind of, get a little bit of a film so that we can place our leaves in. And they will stay off the bottom of the thing. I'm just going to kind of pour it around, but you can see how, with how thick this is. I mean, think about all the different kind of craziness you could do, especially with the geodes. I mean, eventually it'll kind of flow out, but you can do a lot of kind of effects and stuff, and you have a lot more time before it really flows all the way out. So it has advantages. There's all kinds of different characteristics for different resins, and it's just a matter of what are you trying to do. In some cases it's just a matter of personal preference. But sometimes, you get a different formula and it will it'll work a little bit better for whatever you're trying to accomplish, I mean, you can look how slow this is. It's like watching paint dry, trying to get this to kind of coat the thing. But that, like I said, has advantages. And a little bit more. Trying to speed this up a little bit. And another thing that I can do is kind of paint it a little bit. Maybe grab a stick. I mean, you can see over here, this one, I mean, it's not even moving, basically. These guys are kind of coming together, but you can maybe kind of grab a little bit of a stick and just kind of paint it around. And I want to make clear, I am no expert at doing this. I've never even used these molds, never made coasters. Don't really use Amazing Clearcast that often even. So I'm kind of learning as I go here too. So but I generally know a little bit about resin, so. Okay, so we pretty much got a layer on the bottom here for the most part. Kind of let that sit just a little bit. Might need to add just a tad more, because I can see there's like little holes, and we need to make sure that the whole thing is covered on the bottom. One thing you can do if you need it to flow more is add, a little bit of heat, use a heat gun. Or you could even warm up the resin before you even mix it, and that will thin it out. So the warmer the resin is, the temperature of the resin itself, the thinner viscosity it's going to be. In this case, I don't really want that. Like I'm actually using the thickness of it to my advantage, basically. But if you did need to thin it out a little bit, then heat will do that. All right, so we got a little bit better, a little thicker base on that one. And then this one, I'm just looking at it, there's no holes. Everything in the middle, at least. We still have, we haven't covered the outside edge of this. But I don't know that I'm that worried about that. I don't think that's that big of a deal. So the next step is, let's get our leaves in here. So let's see here. Let's go with, that one I kind of ripped on accident. I'm thinking maybe we'll go with like this one, and the green one here. So I need to get these things. I don't want to. I gotta be careful because they break pretty easily. So very careful. So let's just kind of arrange these guys. That, and we'll do a little bit of the green guy. All right there. What do you think? It's a pretty cool looking coaster, I think. Not too shabby. Now let's see what we can do here to get these things covered but not sink them. I'm going to pour some more resin into my little small cup. We should have quite a bit of working time. I think the working time in general is about 45 minutes on this. So, I mean, we should have bare minimum at least like about 30. Probably we'll have 45 minutes. One thing I can do here is grab a little bit with my stick, because I really want to be careful at this point. I just want to get these things covered. And so I'm going to take my time, basically. Because I don't really want these things to sink right away. I'm just pouring a little bit at a time to get them covered. Thin strands, and then hopefully it'll kind of flow out. So the nice thing about this, I mean, unless you live in like the Arctic tundra, everybody's got trees around, and it's easy to just snag some leaves. Now, I will warn you guys, probably, in this case, you actually want to take them off the tree. They'll be a little bit, or grab ones that just fell on the ground. You need them, you don't want to pick up the ones that are already super brittle. They're not going to flatten out very well. You're probably just going to break them when you flatten them, when you press them. So I actually took most of these guys off a tree. It was still on the tree. And that way they were still pretty flexible. They still had some moisture in them. And then you press them between, you can, and there's lots of different ways to press, you know, leaves or flowers or any of these things. I just, like I said, used wax paper, put 2 pieces of melamine between, you know, as a sandwich. And then wax paper and melamine, and put something heavy on there. It doesn't really matter what it is. All right, so these things are behaving pretty well. They don't appear to be sinking or doing anything. You know, we have a lot of working time left in these, so, you know, I don't know. A lot of this stuff is not tested. I've never done this before, so we're just kind of testing the waters to see how this works. So far, hopefully, I probably have that cup right in the way of you guys. I think at this point, I'm getting bolder. Getting bolder. All right, so let's see where we're at here. So we've gotten the mold. It's definitely all full all the way around. These things seem to be kind of moving around a little bit. So one thing that I could do, and I'm going to caution you because this may not be a great idea. If you really need to move them, grab like a toothpick or something and just, you know, barely move them. The adding more resin in here is going to move these around. Now, I also want to mention there's another way to do this that will guarantee that will be a lot easier. You're not going to have as much problem. Just pour that bottom layer and then stick your leaves on and let it just cure up basically, and then pour another layer on. That way you don't have to worry about this stuff moving around. I didn't, you know, timing wise, I don't really have time for that. So this is a way to get the same thing accomplished. But things are gonna kind of move around as you're pouring more resin in there. So just kind of be warned about that. There's a couple different ways to do it. And this really isn't necessarily the best way to embed, you know, leaves or objects, but I think it'll work fine. Like if you're kind of in a rush, don't really want to mess around with waiting, you know, until that first layer sets up, then this is, you know, this should work fine, should be viable. So what I'm going to do is just kind of pour around the edge of these things so that hopefully the resin is kind of pushing equally around them. Worst case scenario, it'll push it more to the center. All right, now I don't know if you need to fill these to the top. I think I'm going to call that pretty good. It's almost to the top level. You don't necessarily want to go all the way to the extreme top of the mold necessarily. You could maybe, I don't know. We'll have to kind of see. Could go either way. Let's see what you guys are doing in the chat. What are you guys chatting about? I can't see. My fingers are all resiny. I can't touch the computer. All right, now for this one, I was thinking, I kind of like the big leaf. You guys, you can't really see it. I'll just pull it up. I'm thinking maybe we'll just go with the big one. Maybe 2 smaller ones on the edges. But with this one, what I want to do is add a little bit of glitter. We're going to add some of this autumn. It's called Autumn Fire. It's a tinsel, holographic tinsel glitter. word of warning, this stuff is going to get everywhere. So just to let you know. I'm actually going to add some. I kind of forgot to add some to the bottom, so we're just going to kind of dump some of this stuff in the bottom here. And what I'm actually going to do is just kind of stir it around, because I want this stuff to actually kind of go to the bottom. So I don't know. I really should have added it to the resin first. I'm just going to kind of stir it around, sort of mix it up a little bit. I still need to kind of get this stuff pushed to the edges anyway, so you could maybe even make some kind of like design stuff. I'm seeing like little almost designs happening. Just trying to kind of get this to sort of even out a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is we're going to add a little bit more resin. The leaves really aren't that thick, so I think we can maybe, one strategy, one thing to keep in mind here is it might actually be better to doing it this way, where we're not going to just let the resin, you know, firm up and then pour another layer on. You might actually want to get the leaves a little higher, because they may have a tendency to sink a little bit. Now it actually looks like these guys are kind of floating over here. I'm going to kind of poke these guys down. So you never know. Some things may float, some things may sink. I'm going to kind of spread these guys out a little bit more. They did kind of push to the center there. Every time you touch it, it has a reaction. Every action has an equal reaction. Keep that in mind. All right, so I think I want actually even more resin in here. It's kind of a slow game. All right, I think I'm going to let that should be enough to flow out. It looks like it's getting all the way out to the edge everywhere. And it's about halfway full, the mold is at this point. So let's grab our leaves that we want here. That's going to take up kind of the whole thing. That might be kind of cool though. Just have a giant leaf. What do you guys think? Let's see what you guys are thinking in your heads. Yeah, I know. I can't wait till we can get out also. We'll get ungrounded. They'll figure something out. You gotta have hope. How's it going, Nicholas? So I think I'm just gonna go for this big one here. I don't know if it matters which direction I put this thing. I actually kind of think I like it like that. All right, I'm going for it. I'm committing to it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some resin to my little cup. We're going to do kind of the same game. And again, possibly a better strategy for most people would be to just walk away right now, because at this point nothing's going to move. It'll kind of thicken up, and you don't even necessarily need to wait till it like fully cures or anything like that. Just you need to wait till, you know, that first layer kind of skins up. Then you can pour another layer on top. And I think that's probably, for most people, is probably going to be a better way to go. Now, in my case, I'm trying to just get all these things, you know, kind of done right away. So I'm going to just kind of go for it. But definitely a good way to go is to kind of just pour in a layer, let it set up, and then pour another thing on. Now, you're going to have some bubbles in here. And, you know, you can use like a heat gun or do some stuff, but for the most part, most of these air bubbles should come out. There may be a few in there, you know, pressurizing this would be a better way to go. You'll kind of guarantee that everything's clear. But I just want to kind of see how these work without even, you know, using pressure. Typically, I would use pressure. I just think that if you have a pressure pot, there's no reason not to. It'll guarantee all these little bubbles are gone for sure. But in this one, you can grab a little torch or something. And I got one of these little guys. And you got to watch out. I don't want to burn this leaf over here, so because there's no resin on it. But there's some bubbles on the surface that we can get rid of. And that'll kind of clear things up. You want to watch out. You want to scorch the top. You want to be quick passes across. But that'll kind of clear things up, and then more will float up. And again, long working time. Not a bad idea to kind of hit it with the torch a couple times. So this isn't all, you're going to have to kind of babysit these types of things a little bit. It's kind of the way it works, I would say. So I'm going to pour some more resin in a cup here. And I'm going to mix in what am I trying to say? Well, let's see here. I don't really want to cover the leaf with the glitter stuff. So I'm almost kind of thinking maybe we'll just cover the top. And I don't know, I guess technically, I'm thinking the bottom of this mold should be the bottom of the coaster when you take it out. I don't exactly know how this works. That's definitely going to be flat. So I would just kind of assume that that's probably the way it works. So I actually think we got a lot of glitter, and that's the glitter I wanted to be kind of around the leaf. And so from the top, if we just pour some clear resin on, maybe we can, you know, sprinkle a little bit of glitter around the edge. But I think we're just going to go with clear. I'm kind of changing my game plan in the middle here. So again, we're just going to kind of, and this is going to move everything around. Again, this isn't necessarily the best way to do this. This is just an easy way to do it so that I can actually get this done on the stream. I maybe could have just put this aside, you know, and finished up on the end, but I'm impatient, so we're just going to go with it. So I'm just trying to not dump a whole lot of resin at once, doing thin strips here. We'll just keep doing this until we get everything filled up in the mold. But this is why I kind of, I was already talking at the beginning about the thickness of Amazing Clear Cast. If I was trying to do this with liquid diamonds or with Alumilite Clear Slow Set, I mean, this stuff would just be moving all over the place. The thinner the viscosity of the resin, the harder doing something like this would be. You know, this makes things a lot easier because it just doesn't react. It doesn't move as much. In some cases that can work against you, but in this case I think it's a great characteristic for doing this type of thing. Couple spots where the leaf isn't totally covered. I just want to make sure that I'm getting that done. I'm digging that. What do you guys think? Probably need a little bit more resin in here. So I'm going to fill my cup again. A little bit more. I didn't set a timer or anything like that to know how long I've been messing with this stuff. Again, the working time I think is about 45 minutes. One thing that will definitely tell us that it's starting to set up is it's gonna heat up, and I don't feel any heat going. You know, it's not noticeable right now. But you know, I'm just not entirely sure exactly how much time we actually have here. left. But I think we got plenty of time to mess with geodes. So we'll be doing the geodes. I didn't look to see if there was any super chats. If anybody wants to super chat, you can pick some colors and materials for the, whoa, that thing's pretty full. Not too bad. Kind of missed. Kind of went outside the mold here. I'm actually going to kind of clean this off so I don't have to mess with that later and clean it up. Okay, so I think, I'm done basically at this point. The only thing that I need to do right now is I just want to kind of, I need to clean my fingers off because I'm getting epoxy all over my torch. But we're going to torch this a couple times. It's really nice. You can see that leaf is still, the thing just doesn't want to stay down. Get down, get in there, come on. Part of what may be pushing this up is the air bubbles rising. That can also move things around. Now, if you can get a light shining back at you, you can see the bubbles a lot better. I don't know if I can really explain that too much, but I'm using the light, the overhead lights, the kind of reflection of them to see where these bubbles are. And so just to let everybody know, these are going to be, we take them out and they're done. I'm not going to be turning or machining or doing anything else with these things. So I'll probably torch these at least one more time. This one's getting pretty clear. There are still a few bubbles that I can see down there. And, if you're not going to pressurize it, you may have some, in the end. There may be a few bubbles. Pressurizing these will get rid of all these little bubbles for sure. So, I kind of wanted to try this without pressure though, just for the first time. And then this one I can still see some little air bubbles, but I don't know. What do you guys think about these things? I think these are pretty darn cool. Oh, Gretchen super chatted? Well, that doesn't make any sense. And Paul, teal and copper. Nice. Those are some good colors. I like that. So let's see here. So Paul, let me ask you, I actually have some copper leaf as well. I got some copper leaf, but obviously I also have some copper color, mica powders. So I want to just toss everything out. So, and for Gretchen, we have some pretty good teals. Let's see here. I think this one's probably pretty close to what you would want. Let me look at your sticker. I always get kind of... Where's your sticker? Oh, it's a little bit more on the blue side for your colors than this. This is a little bit more green teal. But I have mica powders, and then I also have some turquoise stone stuff. Let me just look in here. All right, so where did I put all the... So I have some little turquoise stone stuff that we could play with. If you wanted that for kind of a... It's not really teal, I don't think, but it's kind of a bluish teal. Let's see. Well, you didn't super chat. That's true. Oh. Yeah. So the bottom is the top, huh? I can understand that, but I don't know if that's how I'm going to do it. Because I think because the problem is I put these leaves in thinking these were going to be the top. But we'll have to see when we demold them. They may work fine either way in the end. So I don't know how much time I have left for working time. Really, I don't think it's going to matter. Doesn't look like it's like doing anything here. So let me temperature gauge this. I mean, it's still 78 degrees, so I think we got plenty of time. So what I'm going to do is we're going to move this. I'm going to put this somewhere. Let me find a place where I can put this. But I think we're basically kind of done with this. I think I'm just going to move this over to my big desk thing over here. If you need to move it, watch out because the stuff can kind of move around on you. So, you know, it may be better to kind of have things. If you're not going to pressurize it, probably just put it, you know, start working on those molds where you're going to leave it. That would probably be the best way to go. If you're going to pressurize it, then it's probably a good idea, if possible, to get it on your rack or whatever you need to use to get it in the pressure pot. You know, work on it on that if you can, and then be very careful moving it around so it doesn't, you know, move on you. Let's see here. So I'm going to get these leaves out of the way. I can kind of save these, might use these for something else down the road. And they should kind of stay, you know, good to go. I'm just going to wrap these. Let's see here. So I've just kind of squished them all together. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of wrap these in this wax paper. Kind of keep them flat. I'm thinking. I'm not an expert on preserving flowers and things, but this seems like a smart way to go. I'm going to kind of cut this wax paper a little bit. And you know, you could keep this kind of like in a book or whatever. Give it one more wrap over here. So nice and tidy. You can kind of just stick this, you know, wherever. Put it under something kind of that has a little bit of weight to it, and you'll be good to go. So I'm actually going to put this under, let's see here. What am I going to put this under? Oh, I lost a leaf out of there. Shoot. Well, I'm just going to basically put it over here. They'll be good to go. All right, so we have gold leaf, silver leaf, copper leaf. We got mica powders. I'm going to have to scroll through and see what you guys were saying. We got glitter. So one of the things that I was thinking is it would be pretty cool to kind of paint on a little bit of gold on the outside, like the metallic gold. I think that would be a really cool thing. Basically, I'm doing that for sure because I want to see what it looks like. I've seen a few examples of people where when you pull it out, like the edge is gilded, basically. And I don't really think I want to mess around with the flakes in that case. I want to add a little bit of gold metallic powder and just kind of dust it on in there. That might be kind of cool. But again, because this is so thick, what we want to do is we want to make like bands of different colors around in here. And then what I was thinking is in the middle here, we can basically put, you know, like rocks. So we got some turquoise here. We can maybe, you know, put a bunch of leaf or something around in there. I also have some glitter that's kind of chunky glitter. This would be a good, I was thinking, let's see here, where are they? This might not be a bad time to pull out the spin gems. I think there might be better options than what I have. I got gold mine here, but spin gems might be a pretty cool way to go. Let's see, what else? Yeah, we got just like fluorescent colors. I need to get some more spin gems. Let's see, I got mother of pearl stuff. Not really super thrilled about that. I don't think that's the direction that I want to go. I don't know, anything. You could do anything. So let me scroll and see what we have here. Paint something on the outside. crushed glass. I'm not sure what crushed glass you're talking about. I don't have any that I know of. All right, so did Paul respond? I'm looking for Paul here. Paul, there it is. I don't know. I'm not sure if Paul... I don't see it. Gretchen's leaning towards gems. Do you want to try these guys? We can just add a little bit of this stuff in the resin and put that around the middle. Gold spin gems. All right, so let's do... All right, so here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to paint on, let's just go with, let's go with this one. It has a little bit more room. So what I want to do here is we're going to go with, I'm going to paint on some of the Alumilite metallic gold, and I'm going to kind of dust that onto the edge there with the little paintbrush. And then what I'm thinking is we need to have some resin here. Like a reasonable band of resin, and then we'll do a band with the gold spin gems, and that'll take up a good amount of this, I think. But I think we do need to kind of put something around the edge, and then we'll try and fill the middle here with the turquoise stuff, these little turquoise deals. I wish I had some bigger ones, but I don't. Shiny rocks. Shiny rocks. I don't have any shiny rocks. You'll have to expand on what shiny rocks are. Is it spin gems? Is that what you're talking about? I have cinnamon brown, but the only other one I have is the, let's see, I have cinnamon brown, and I have some gold mine. So that's what cinnamon brown would look like, if that's what you're talking about. And I don't have metallic teal, I don't think. What are the two green bubbles on the screen? Those are super chats. Super chat. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have to close it down on this one soon, because what ends up happening is people. Yeah, so that's what Paul picked too, Doug. So we're definitely going to be doing the gold mine. So first thing I need to do is actually blow this out, because it has dust on it. So I'm going to grab my air hose, blow it out, make sure that's all clean. We got it nice and clean. In this case, we're going to be adding color and stuff, so that's, like a dust particle is probably not even going to be noticed. However, you're better off starting off, as clean as you can. So I think what I'm going to do here, I think I'm going to use one of these little, I think these are like eyeshadow brush things. I don't know. I got them on Amazon. I think I'm going to use that to paint on this dust. This stuff is will really look very metallic if you having it painted on the edge. So hopefully, can you guys see what I'm doing? I'm just painting in here. Okay, and I'll kind of show you what I'm doing. So we're just going to kind of paint that stuff on the edge, and then I'm going to pour some resin in. And when the resin cures, it'll adhere to that stuff, and you'll just basically have like a metallic edge to this thing. You might get a little bit of, probably end up with a little bit on the bottom too, but I've never done these before, so we're just going to kind of wing it. There may be other better ways to do this, but all right, so we're doing pretty good. Like I said, it may not be absolutely perfect. I don't know if there's a way to like tape it off or something. But it's working pretty good. Only thing is we got a little bit on that bottom there. But I think I'll be okay. I think I'll be okay with that. This is working surprisingly well. Better than I actually thought it was going to work. All right, so we got a pretty good coating around the whole thing. Like I said, maybe not perfect, not that big of a deal though, I don't think. So we got a little bit of gold around the edge. And then we are doing, let's see here, let me do the same for the island edge in the center. Oh yeah, tape might work. That's true. Well, I hope that your son gets better soon. What other fake? So I just have those two. I have the gold mine and I have the cinnamon thing. That's really it for fake rocks. I don't have anything else on hand that I know of right now. I'm trying to think. I don't know. Just not sure. So Paul wanted the gold. We'll put a little bit on the center for Paul. Where did my gold go? I'm actually thinking it might be kind of cool having a little bit of gold on the surface too. And then I don't have to mess with anything else. It's an experiment. We got to see how it works. A lot of times, you know, I personally, and I don't know if I recommend it for other people, but the way that I like doing things is to just dive in, do it, messy, whatever, and just see what happens, because following how you're supposed to do things, like the way it's, you know, other people are doing it, sometimes doesn't teach you why it's done, or you know, it may turn out that you actually like it done a different way. So in this case, having that a little bit on the bottom, that may actually be really cool. So I don't like to just follow what, you know, my first instinct would be, oh, you know, it'd be nice to not have any of that. But I don't think it's, you know, a lot of times on the first time I'm doing something, I'm like, whatever, let's just see how this works. And then the next time, if I don't like that, then I'll come back and get rid of it, you know. So let's see here. So Gretchen, do you want the turquoise rock stuff, or do you want mica powder? Glitter it up, huh? All right, what kind of glitter? Okay, so Gretchen wants mica. Do you want this? And I know that it may not really come across, but do you want the Caster's Choice teal, or the P-Town Subby turquoise? It's a little bit kind of teal turquoise-ish. And then P-Town also has one called mint green that's kind of turquoise-ish also. It's very similar, I would say, to maybe a little bit lighter than this. I don't know. Pretty close though. So it's up to you. What else do we have? So Paul wanted copper as well. Do you want, let's see. Do you want copper flakes, and did you want the gold spin gems too? I'm getting, this is the only problem with doing things like this. It gets crazy. Turquoise. Okay, so this one. Okay, we got that one. We got one down. Okay, so we don't need this, that's for sure. We need some gold spin gems. So I'm thinking like I don't know. So what the tough thing is, people aren't standing right here. And I kind of, I don't know, probably going to need to kind of get going here. I may not be able to do all this on the next, yeah, it's starting to heat up. So I think what I'm gonna have to do here, guys, is just move forward. Unfortunately, the resin has spoken. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of mix this in with the gold. That might have been too much. Maybe, we'll see. Oh, that's pretty good. So I'm thinking that the turquoise should go in the middle. We'll put the gold stuff there, and then we'll try and put a little bit of copper around the edge. So what I'm going to do is, I think it's probably smarter to go from the outside in. So let's see if I can get this done before the resin totally sets up on me. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing, but this might be a little bit better with smaller flakes, but I'm trying to kind of break it up, but it's not really doing it as well as I'd like. Okay, so a little bit more. All right, so we're going to pour the copper around the edge. I don't know how well this is going to work. I think I'm going to have to mix up more resin because I don't know. We'll see how this goes, but it's, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this with resin that's setting up so much. because you really kind of need to do more than one layer. You know what I mean? We'll have to see though. And then some turquoise. Hopefully that won't move on me. I should have gotten the turquoise ready. I would recommend getting your stuff ready before you start pouring. Get all your cups ready. So I'm going to mix up a fresh batch of resin on the next thing. All right. Ooh, I just barely made it. Okay, so I poured a little extra of that. Now we're going to come back with some of this gold mine. I'm going to need more of the gold mine. That's for certain. Okay, let's make some more gold mine. The resin hasn't set up yet, so we're still in the game, guys. We're still in the game. All right, so now we'll just kind of add a little bit of this going around. I want to kind of let this flow out a little bit, see how much resin we need to add. Probably add a little bit more turquoise to the mix here. I might even just pour some clear on top of this lightly just to kind of fill things up. I don't know. All right, so let's do a little bit more of this turquoise. We've almost got it filled up, so at this point, I think what I'm going to do, because the spin gems were so chunky, like this is going to be a lot easier if you guys just use dyes and powders for all the colors. Like trying to add all these different things definitely is going to make things more difficult. So mica powders and just you know, like thinner things are probably going to be easier to do than that. Especially also having the resin setting up on you, probably not the best way to go. But that's looking pretty cool so far. So let me get one more little cup. What I'm going to do is just, oh, see I'm sticky everywhere. I'm just going to pour a little bit of resin on top of this as lightly as I can, just to kind of fill in. It's almost totally full. And then the next one, we're going to just mix up some new resin because the stuff's getting thicker than it normally is. And it's setting up on me. So if you're pouring it while it's setting up like this, then you're probably going to get a lot of air bubbles trapped in there. And the spin gems are going to trap more air than normal. So just to kind of let you guys know, what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to get this thing in the pressure pot. So hopefully I can get this thing. See, I should have had this thing ready to go. So what I'm going to do is just, not as big a deal on these because the stuff isn't really moving around on me. But I'm going to put it in my pressure pot here. And in this case, where the level is probably going to go down a little bit on that thing. Just to kind of let you know, once it gets rid of the air bubbles that are trapped in there, it's going to, you know, that volume is going to go away basically. So the overall level might kind of drop a little bit. We'll have to just kind of see. I like to just play around with stuff the first time, and you know, you learn a lot of lessons. Like, oh, next time I got to, you know, fill it to the top if I'm, you know, because once the air goes away, it's going to drop level. Like little things like that you wouldn't necessarily know until the first time you try it out. So we're going to pressurize that to 70 psi. Whew, that was getting crazy. And then unfortunately, I'm just going to call this resin. Let's see, what's the temperature at? Let me just see. Oh, well, that says 88 now. I don't know what's going on. Something was at 92. Let me get some more gloves on. We might be able to, let me just see what the temperature is after I stir that up a little bit. I have no clue. I don't work with Amazing Clearcast, so I don't have a clue what temperature you need to start getting like really worried about. But I think that we're better off going with a fresh cup. I think that would be the smart play. 89. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to make more condiments. So we're going to take a break real quick here. We're going to add some colors. We're going to make like a stopper blank or something with the rest of this stuff. What time is it? Oh, we're doing pretty good. So we'll do the final one. So I think I kind of screwed up and Doug didn't really get in on that last one. So Doug, you get first dibs on the next one for colors and stuff. Kind of thinking, so we did, you know, like some Geode, like we really went for like the rock look, I think, in that last one. What do you guys think about doing just colors? Because I'm kind of curious to see what just, you know, if you don't try to make it look like a rock, like what happens with, you know, just with the normal like micas or dyes or, you know, doing different things. So let me know what you guys think about that. If that sounds like an idea, or if you're like, nope, we need spin gems. I mean, you could probably just mix up some spin gems, dump it in there, maybe put a gold band around those, and they would look pretty wicked, probably. Like it's definitely going to look like stone. If that's all, you know, that's all you did. So let me get my mixing stick. I like to clean off my sticks right away, because otherwise you got to wait for the stuff to skin up, and it's not necessarily as easy as you would think it would be to get it cleaned off. So I like to wipe off the stick, try and get, you know, all the epoxy or whatever the resin is off of it, and then I take some acetone and just totally clean it off, and then that way this thing's ready to go. I don't want to wait overnight, because it would, and with this stuff it would take, you know, like a few days probably before it was really ready to just pop off. Now it's totally dry, it's ready to go. I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to set this cup aside. It's done. And we're going to add some mica powders. So unfortunately we have a delay. Let's see what we got here. We are going to pull out some lilac. Okay, so we got saffron orange, we got macro sparkle, we got lilac, and we're going to do spring green, I think. So I'm just going to quickly add a little bit of powder to this, dump it in a cup, And we'll get a little bit of a bottle stopper blank out of it. And we'll get to test out some P-Town subbies. So that's the saffron orange. Actually, spring green is pretty much like a lime green. Let's do... let's do royal purple. Royal, that's probably pretty close to the Doug Crazy, I think. We'll do royal purple as, yeah, that looks pretty Doug Crazy to me. What do you guys think? Okay, we got a little bit of that, but it's called royal purple in their line. Let's try this lilac purple. That one looks pretty good. It's kind of a little bit more, it's like a lighter purple. I don't think I've really ever seen one like this, just out of the ones that I usually use. We'll do a couple shades of purple. And we'll just do, this should be pretty much the same as like macro pearl. It's just kind of a fun one. One thing that's cool about macro pearl, so we're going to dump some macro pearl in here. We're going to load it up, but one of the cool things is you can just add a little bit of dye, and instead of just being white, so let me mix this in. Macro pearl is one of the is a really good mica to just have on hand, because it kind of looks like, honestly, this stuff mimics like the diamond cast blanks extremely well. So you got, you know, white, and it's just like a chunky pearl. Let's add a little bit of dye. This is like a maroon that I made. Now you got blingy maroon because of the sparkle in there, the macro pearl. So it's a really good one to have on hand. I really like macro pearl. So it's called macro pearl with Caster's Choice. And this one from P-Town Subbies, macro sparkle. Okay. So we got that cup mixed up. So that's going to be neat. Let's get these guys mixed in, and then we're going to just make like a little stopper type blank or something. Digging the saffron orange. That's a good, interesting color. This is a little different, I think, than blaze orange. It's kind of like a, I don't know, I'm trying to explain it, but I don't know. I don't exactly know how to explain it, but it looks pretty nice. Slightly different than blaze orange. They have another orange, the P-Town Subby, that I think is a mimic of blaze. Hey, Doug from Fleetswood is there. Frank's here. What's up, buddy? Frank's in for some pearl orange. So a big thank you to everybody that super chatted too, by the way. I forgot to mention that. So we got Paul and Gretchen and Doug and Frank. So we're not, let's see, you want to see some, we're not, all I'm doing is getting rid of the thing that we just made. So we're going to be doing another Geode in a second, but I got to mix up some new resin. I'm just trying to not waste this. We're kind of at the end of the working time with it, so I just wanted to put some color in and make a blank out of it so that it's not just going to waste. All right. I guess technically I could probably pour all these things in, but we're just going to make a little bit of a stopper blank real quick. So what I want to try and do is just pour all these things at once. Dual wield, dual cast. All right, so we're going to see how this works. This works a lot easier with paper cups. That's for sure. So with paper cups, you can hold two, and you can like literally hold three in each hand and just pour them. I don't know how well this is going to really go. Yeah, I think I can do it. All right, here we go. I don't know if this is going to be deep enough, but we're going to get something out of it. Look at that. That ought to be fun. Huh? All right, so I wish I would have put that in the pressure pot with the other thing. I'm just going to put this in my big one, I think. Just because. So I got my 5-gallon pot kind of on the other side of the shop, and I just don't want to waste one of my 2.5s over there, because I use those usually for my inventory stuff. So we'll just put this in the 5-gallon. We'll be good to go. And we didn't waste that resin. So I'm going to mix up another cup, and we'll do another geode. So Paul wanted to see some orange. So Doug, wait till I get back there, but let me know in the comments what you want to see on this geode type 1. And let's see here. So we got 2 colors at least. I'm trying to think if there's anything that kind of came up in my head. Like that macro pearl would probably look pretty cool as like the center of a geode, I would think. Just white, honestly, that would be probably pretty cool looking. It'd be kind of neat. Like this is a cool place where like a lot of people either have crystals or make, you know, like the resin crystals. That would be pretty awesome, I think, in these geode type things. I don't have anything like that though, unfortunately. So let's see here. Let's see, blurple, that's not a bad idea. That would be pretty cool looking. Okay, so oh, Gretchen left. I'll see her later though. You like the burgundy with the macro? Nice. Cool. We can totally do that. So burgundy with macro pearl, do you want that on the inside? Is that what you were thinking? And if you want, we could try another metallic color. I've got silver, I've got copper. To do the edges, I need to blow this out real quick. Get all there's little dust particles all over it. Okay, so that should be pretty good. And we got, so Frank wanted an orange pearl. So we just did that saffron. It's a little bit, so this is the tangerine from P-Town Subby. I would say this is probably exactly the same thing as blaze orange. Let's open this guy up. But it looks, I'm guessing it's probably the same one. Let's pull out blaze orange. So far, I've been pretty happy with the P-Town Subby ones. I don't really have a whole lot in there, but I don't know. Blaze might actually be a little bit darker. I don't know. I'm thinking blaze orange is kind of right in the middle of both of these. Let's see if I have another blaze orange somewhere. I think I got a big tub of it somewhere here. Yeah, I would say blaze orange is a little bit darker than whatever this one is. Tangerine. But it's a little lighter than saffron orange. So so we got a totally different color out of these, you know, two new colors basically out of those guys. So which one do you like? tangerine, blaze orange, or saffron orange. Saffron's darkest, blaze would be in the middle, and tangerine is the lightest. So let me get a cup going here so we can get our resin mixed up. So now in this case, I would typically, this is where I would probably want to, figure out exactly how much resin we need. But I think it's going to be okay. We're just definitely not going to need as much. That's for certain. So I'm just going to get a smaller cup that has graduated lines on it. Graduations. Ooh, this one's a good one. I think Alumilite sent these cups to me. Kind of hard to see the actual graduations though. I think they'll do. Real quick, I just walked by the geodes or the leaf ones that we already did, and what I want to do is I want to hit them with the flame again real quick. Just pop anything that's on the surface. Actually, they're looking pretty clean, but there might be a couple little bubbles that we can pop real quick. They're looking pretty clear. I'll try and bring the camera over so you guys can kind of see this before the end of the show. Those things are looking pretty good. I'm very happy. That was the whole point of what I wanted to do today. So that always works well. He went with the blaze. Okay, I got to actually fill this back up. Let me fill it up. In the video that should be coming out Sunday, I used some of the P-Town Subby colors, and they got a good mix. I made a faux burl that's like camo colors, so be looking for that. I think it's going to be I don't know if it's going to be the most amazing video ever, but the project turned out really good. So be looking for that. So what would you guys, did anybody mention, do you want to try silver? Painting the thing silver on the edges this time? I think that might be kind of cool. Silver, so we got orange, maroon, and then let's see here. I might pick a color, possibly. Maroon. Let's see here. Orange, maroon. How can we tie this all together? Maybe like a... What do you think about cafe latte? A little bit of brown. Orange, maroon, and brown. Does that sound good or bad? I don't know. Sounds kind of fun. Oh, you got some of the UFO green and the Tampopo? Nice. Yeah, actually, I got some of that. The UFO green, that stuff doesn't mix in that well. We could go with the macaw blue green. That would probably tie these together pretty well with this project. I think we might do that. Let's do that. Let's put all these colors back in here. Okay, so let me, what I'm going to do is I just have this little mixing cup. So I'm going to zoom back out. I'm so used to using weight for every measurement that my first step with an empty cup is to stick it on the scale, but we're not using a scale. We're not doing it. We don't need scales. Let me just put some of the stuff that we're not going to be using away so that it's not looking at me and mocking me. Okay. All right, so I got to fill up my blaze orange before we begin. So I don't really like using these big jars typically, as long as I have smaller ones. I like to just, use the small one and kind of fill up the small jar just in case if for some reason I dump resin in one of these things or contaminate it. If you already have the small ones, like in this case, I started out with the smaller jars and then ended up buying some big ones of the ones that I use a lot. So in that case, I would recommend doing it that way, just in case if something got contaminated, it'd be a lot cheaper to replace, what is this, 0.75 ounces rather than 4 ounces. So that's why I usually do that. Now the eye candies, they just come in whatever size this is. Does it say 150 milliliter? However much that is compared to, let's see, this was, yeah, I don't know, grams, 21, 150. This is 28 grams. I don't know. They're all different. All right, I don't need that. So let's get our amazing clear cast ready. Plus, ACC plus. Now, definitely going to mark on this thing because the graduations are really hard to see on this. Probably not really the best cup to use ever, but it's like the perfect size. So, let's see here. We're going to go with. We're just going to make 100. So again, this is 1-to-1. So I'm going to mark this cup at 50 and 100. We're going to put 50, whatever. Frankly, it doesn't even matter what the number is, but we're going to put 50 of whatever. I think it's milliliters. Part A, and then 50 milliliters of part B. Whatever you're doing, it just needs to be equal. So if you're using a graduated cup, the important thing is just to make sure that you're using the same scale. All right, so, and read the instructions, on the side. Before you start mixing, this one's a 1-to-1 by volume. Many epoxies are going to be 2-to-1. It's a typical, there's some 3-to-1s. So just before you even start pouring anything, make sure you read the jug, read the instructions for whatever you have so that you measure correctly. Yeah, it's really hard to see these graduations, I gotta be honest. Probably not the best cups on the planet. I don't know where I got these. I like the other ones, the normal paint mixing cups, a lot better. So I think that's good. I think we're at 50 actually. I think I did good on that one. And then another 50 milliliters. And you can use whatever scale you want. It doesn't really matter as long as you're, using, in this case, putting equal amounts of both in there. Okay, let me see where we're at. And again, if you're using a volume, if you're measuring by volume using one of these graduated cups, you need to make sure that you're getting your eyesight down to eye level on this thing. Because if you're looking from above, it throws it off. It doesn't, you may be off, basically. So get down there eye level with that line and you'll be good to go. All right, so we'll just mix this. It's going to take a few minutes to mix this up. It's a thicker resin. You don't really need to whip it. All that's going to do is just introduce a bunch of air bubbles in there. Man, there's like little things in this. This cup sucks. This was a terrible idea. Seriously. Yeah, mill and gram usually are the same. Fluid ounces, and as long as you're talking about water, I think. I don't know how all that works, but something like that. Well, technically, milliliters and grams are two totally different things. One's a volume measurement, one's a weight, a mass. So, but a milliliter of water, I think is what we're talking about, is equal to 1 gram of water. That's not necessarily the case when it comes to powders and things and resins. I might be wrong though. Ah, yes. Specific gravities and physics and stuff. Chemistry. Is that a physics thing or a chemistry? Or just science in general? All right, so I'm just going to scroll up and just make sure. You don't do Pacific gravity? Okay, I don't think I missed anything up there. I just wanted to make sure. So with most of these epoxies, you just want to keep mixing. Make sure that, you know, the resin should look pretty clear. That's a good indication that you've mixed it enough. But even, you don't want any wispy, like hazy trails going on. So scrape the sides, the bottom of the cup really well. Scrape off your mixing stick. You don't want a clump of part A or part B that isn't mixed. And those hazy trails, that's what that indicates. It's resin that is not mixed together. And if that ends up in the final casting, it's just going to be a blob of, you know, liquid goo, which in this case may not be that big of a deal, but it is probably going to be a hazy blob in there if you're going for clear. And if you're like turning it, it's probably going to be a liquidy blob, which you don't really want. So just make sure that you've mixed it quite well and everything will go good. All right, now again, I learned my lesson. We're going to make sure that we mix everything up. We get all of our colors ready first, and then we can, you know, have at it with pouring. Now, part of the reason I picked Amazing Clear Cast Plus was, you know, on the leaf ones, it's clear and it'll keep it from yellowing for you know, longer than most resins. But I also like how thick this stuff is. It's like honey. And so once we have our cups ready, you can pour it in there, and it really isn't just going to, like, you know, move around on you. It kind of stays, and so you have a lot of time to get banding going on. I thought it'd be a pretty good option for this type of deal, and so far it's proved that way. I do think it's a pretty good resin for this type of thing. I don't particularly like thick resins for most of the things that I do. It's kind of a pain, and it's not very useful a lot of times. But the other thing is that I do think that the thickness of this, if you're having trouble if you're trying to make color swirl pen blanks, I actually do think this stuff is better. Or not better, but I think it's easier to keep those colors separated. I've done a few things. I haven't really done a very specific test yet, but I don't really think you get color bleed as much with this stuff. Because it just doesn't move around on you, right? And so I think it might be a little easier if you're having trouble with it. Now, I would prefer using Alumilite Clear Slow for that kind of thing myself. But if, you know, for some reason you are having difficulty, maybe give a thicker resin a try. It might actually turn out a little easier. I don't know. One of these days I'm actually going to try it out just to kind of see. For me personally, I wouldn't switch, you know, but it may be worth investigating for other people. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the edges silver on this one just to kind of see how that looks. I think gold is typically use, but you know, silver might look pretty good too. So we got blaze orange. We're going to do a maroon. Ooh, sticky. I don't like sticky. We got a maroon macro pearl mix, and then we're going to do macaw green. And then, is there anything else that we can do? I wish that I had like bigger chunks of turquoise. I really just don't. There's tons of things that you could like embed in this that would be pretty cool. I don't know. Let's just see how far we get with these things. We'll go from there. All right, so let's see here. What did I get on me? And I just made up my own little maroon mixture here. There's lots of different ways. Get a color wheel, and then just, you know, you can add alumilite dyes together to get a maroon color. Okay, so blaze orange, and we're just gonna load this up. I mean, we're not messing around here. Let's just put a lot of pearl in here. Maybe even a little bit more. Man, it looks like I got dye all over me. What is going on here? How did I get dye all over me? Okay, I'm done with those gloves. I'm gonna end up with dye everywhere if I don't switch gloves out. So hold on, guys. Neutral gravity. Atlantic gravity, huh? I could do some zero gravity. That'd be kind of fun. SpaceX, they need to take me up next time. We'll do some resin casting in space and see how that goes. That would be the coolest thing ever. All right, so we got blaze orange in this cup here. I need to paint on the silver still, I know. Figured I'll just get everything all mixed up and ready, and then we'll do the painting thing, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, so blaze orange is done. And then, let's see, I'm just going to kind of move this out of my way for a minute. Move that. And we're going to do the macro sparkle. Again, these guys, so Fred over at P-Town Subby sent me a whole pack of all of their colors. So we're just kind of playing around with these. Some of these are kind of the same as other ones, but they also have some unique ones that are pretty good looking colors. So let's load this up again. I'm going to give it two scoops, just like Tony the Tiger. And then we'll just put a couple drops of maroon in there. And that'll give us kind of a maroon sparkly glittery kind of thing. Like I said, it kind of has that diamond cast effect by just adding some dyes to this macro pearl. Kind of gives you the same idea as a lot of those diamond cast blanks. And it costs very little. So, not too bad looking. It's a good sparkle. Okay, and we'll put our maroon dye away, get everything out of our way here. Still, somehow I'm still getting dyes on my fingers. I don't know where it's coming from. Maybe I got it on the sticks. I don't know. Okay, and then we'll go with macaw green. This is one of my favorites. I haven't used a lot of the eye candies yet, but macaw blue green. It's kind of a nice pearly color. Go with that for the third one. This will be kind of an interesting one. I'm really curious to see how the geode shape works with just colors, you know. Kind of a little bit different than you see in some of the other ones. Now this would be a good one where, you know, like the alcohol inks where you can add like the white dye and the alcohol and all that kind of stuff, and it changes. You make like cells, you know. Some of those people get some really cool results using those kind of slightly different techniques that I don't really myself use. Let's see here. So let's get our silver out. So I'm just using the this. So this used to be Alumilite's metallic silver. Now what I'm actually using, I found out it's pretty much the same exact thing. There's this product called Mehron, M-E-H-R-O-N, and I swear it's exactly the same thing. It's like a, what is this, like a makeup, like a face paint kind of powder or something like that. And you can find it different places. I think I found it maybe on Amazon. Yeah, I bought that on Amazon. But there's a few places you can get it, and it's pretty much exactly the same thing as Alumilite's old, you know, silver, metallic silver. The thing is, they're not selling this silver anymore, and they just, their supplier, they can't get it, basically. So it's just gone. So I found kind of basically the equivalent. Whoa, I almost dropped that straight in the resin. So I'm going to paint on the silver on the edge of this thing. Kind of hard to see. It's so light. I'll show you once I get this thing, the edge done. I'll show you guys a little bit closer detail. All right, a little bit more. So Black Friday is coming up. Actually, Turner's Warehouse has got some pretty good deals going on, so make sure to keep your eyes peeled over there. On our last podcast episode that went up today, I went through, I can't remember all the details. They have a lot of different stuff going on though. So just wanted to kind of mention that. Make sure you guys keep your eyes peeled for that. You know, along with lots of other people, everybody's kind of doing it. I don't know of any other deals or anything necessarily offhand, but you know, pretty much most of the people, most of the tool companies and all that kind of stuff are probably going to be doing something. Keep your eyes peeled though, if you need to pick up some stuff. Might as well take advantage of the sale. All right, so I'm going to kind of flick this out and just kind of get the excess off of the sides. All right, so we got that going. It's kind of hard to see. It just kind of looks, you know, whatever, but I think, but the way this works is the resin, it's going to basically cure onto the resin, and you're going to get a metallic silver looking edge. It's going to be pretty cool. So we did that. We did gold on the other one. And then Alumilite also, so let's see, at this point, they used to have a lot more of these metallic colors. I think at this point they got copper and gold. I think those are the only two. They used to have a bronze one. I don't know if they still sell that. But I'm definitely kind of bummed. I really liked the silver. It was a unique, it's a little bit, these things, these metallic ones are a little bit different. They're still kind of like, they're still a mica powder. It's not like it's like true metal. There are some metal powders out there that are really expensive that can do some cool stuff, and you can like get patinas on it, but I haven't really messed around with that too much. But these ones are still kind of like, they're a mica powder, but they're way totally different than than like just a normal mica powder. They're super, super fine particles, and they actually kind of float in your resin. So if you're just adding this as kind of a color, you actually have to wait for the resin to set up before you pour it, because otherwise it'll kind of float to the top. It's kind of crazy. It just doesn't act like normal mica powders, but it basically is one. It's not a metal. So you can't like get a patina on it or anything, but it does look very, it's a very good mimic of a metal powder without actually being one, and it's a little bit cheaper. All right, so we got that all ready to go. we're good to go now, guys. So I'm going to switch to the overhead view now. There we go. We got our thing. So the amazing Clearcast Plus, you got like a full, I wonder, does it say, what is it? I keep saying 45 minutes. I don't even know if that's true. It says 30 to 40 minutes is the working time. But I'm pretty sure that we were at least working with it for like 40 minutes, if not longer. And you know, those numbers kind of vary based on what's the temperature in the shop and you know, a bunch of different factors. So a lot of these epoxies are about a 45 minute or so working time. So I'm thinking that we'll go with this burgundy mix as kind of the center thing. So we'll do that one kind of last. Or maybe what we'll do is we'll do this outside first, and then we'll do this maroon on the inside, and then we'll come back with the macaw green. I think this is actually going to be pretty cool looking. So here we go. Can you guys see what I'm doing? There. And I actually think, you know, maybe it might be kind of smart to kind of pour this from this side, and then it's kind of forcing it into the edge. I don't know if that really made a whole lot of sense, but maybe it may get a little bit tricky trying to spin this around and pour and all this stuff. But I do think that this might be kind of a better way to pour the edge, the first color. Because when you get to this side, it's kind of, you're pouring it away from the edge. But it's kind of tricky. All right, and then I'm going to pour the maroon mix next, the kind of center. And then I'm going to come back with this macaw green in the center, the middle. All right, so that was probably maybe about half. I don't know. So let's add a little bit more here. We might have to mix up actually a little bit more resin even. Possibly. Oh, I got more of this stuff. Let's add some more of this stuff. But I do want to add some more orange as well. I think I'm just going to kind of go for it with most of the rest is going to be orange. I'll dump a little bit more of this resin into the macaw green as well. Thing is, we're probably really not going to need that much. The center doesn't need a whole lot more resin, I don't think. Let's add a little bit more powder to this. I don't know. I'm sure there's better ways to do this than what I'm doing, but you know, we're having fun. And if anybody wants to see, there are a ton of channels that make this, that do a lot of this stuff. And I don't know any off the top of my head right now, but if any of you guys in the chat have done this stuff or do this a lot and have channels, definitely let people know. I don't think you can put links, but maybe, you know, Doug might be able to help out a little bit and all that with links. So we're going to go for a little bit more of this orange. Let's do a little bit more of the green. Oh, I got to add Gonna mix it in. I added some clear to that. We're still good though. This is pretty interesting. I think we're gonna get some interesting results with these things. Okay. I'm gonna save this orange and kind of do that as like the last thing. I think we should be good though with the amount of resin. I mixed up a good amount. I think. Just need a little bit around this middle. You can see some of that metallic powder kind of came off a little bit, but even still, it's probably going to add some pretty interesting effects, I would say. In the end, it'll be pretty cool. We got a little bit more of this maroon, sparkly. I think that'll be pretty much perfect. I'm just going to try and make a thin ring around the middle here. All right, spot on. So you can see that silver is kind of intermingling, and I'm going to pull a toothpick out here. I'm just going to see. Yeah. Just going to see if I can kind of swish it around. I don't know what I'm doing. I just wanted to see what would happen. I don't know. I don't know if that did anything good or bad or anything at all. So I got this thing ready on my P-Town subby rack. And I'm just gonna put this, I guess, on this bottom shelf rung here. And then we're gonna pressurize this one again. So we pressurized the two Geode ones. I'm gonna chuck that entire cup because that thing sucks. That is a terrible mixing cup. So we pressurized the two Geodes, and then the leaves were unpressurized. And I'll give you guys kind of we'll do a little bit of a flyby on the other two, the leaf ones, kind of show you what they're looking like. So I just wanted to kind of see, how does it work? And out of the two of these, out of the Geode, this was a lot of color, whereas the leaves are totally clear. So it'll, for testing whether or not you need pressure, the clear ones are the way to go. Now the problem is, if there's air bubbles, they're going to be extremely visible, but that'll also tell us, is it totally necessary to pressurize, or are we going to be okay? So we'll see when we get the results, Thought those would be a good test, just in case somebody doesn't have a pressure pot but wants to play with resin. So this is going up to 70 psi. This stuff out of the way, and then I'll take you guys over and we'll have a peek at those leaf ones real quick. Let's see here. I'm gonna switch this back to this view and then move the camera so you guys aren't seasick, basically. Oh. Hold on real quick. Let me get this camera situated over here. We got light stands and all kinds of things are going on, so got to untangle it all. And trash cans and okay. Let's switch this over to this view. So there they are. I haven't really looked at this myself a whole lot, but I mean, there's a few bubbles, you know, here and there. There's a few bubbles, you know, definitely. This is why I would always recommend, you know, people say, oh, it's got a long working time or, you know, whatever. There's these resins that don't need pressure. The truth is they still kind of need pressure. If you want to have zero bubbles, you're going to need to pressurize it. That's the only way to ensure that they are bubble free. Now, in the end, I don't really think that these are that big of a deal. You know, the bubbles that are in there, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. You know, this one's a little bit better, I think. This one seems a little bit, there's a few bubbles right here. There might be bubbles underneath the leaf. That's another problem when it comes to pressure. If the air bubbles can't get to the surface, then, you know, I don't care what resin you're using. It's going to trap air bubbles in there. So pressure is the best way to go to get rid of air bubbles. But overall, I'm pretty happy with these things. They're still liquidy, I think. They might have kind of set up a little bit. You can see the stem of this one's kind of poking out. I'm going to pull a toothpick out. This is one of those things that I don't know that I advise at this stage, poking at this thing, but I want to try and get this stem under. I think I can do it. Yeah, it's still fairly liquid. It's also kind of just popping right back up. Typically not advisable, but I think I might have fixed it. We'll see. Hopefully that'll kind of flatten out a little bit. Now again, the way that I did these, you know, we did everything all at once and just, you know, poured a little bit, then put the leaf and then poured more on. Really, I think the best way to go is to pour a little bit of resin in there, you know, put the leaf on and let it kind of set up that way first. Then pour the top surface on. That's going to be the best way to get the best results. Do a multi-pour thing, but I didn't really want to, you know, mess around time-wise with that tonight. So in a pinch, you know, this works and it should be okay, but you know, probably better to do a multiple pour thing where everything's stuck where it is. Then it's not going to move around on you when you start pouring stuff on top. You can kind of have a lot more control over where the leaves are and just get everything kind of stuck there, set, and then do another layer pour and you're good to go. The other thing is, the other thing is the pressure. The pressure. You definitely, you know, if you have a pressure pot, these would, you know, especially with the clear ones, definitely. And then with the geodes, you know, we added a bunch of the spin gems and stuff. Those things trap air bubbles like crazy. So probably best to go with a pressure pot, just to make sure you have a bubble-free casting. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed coming out for this thing. Let me stop real quick and see what's going on. Don't pick at it. I know. I was curious. That was the one that had more air bubbles. I need a drink of water. My throat is dry. We've been resin casting and talking. There you go. Yeah, there's lots of other channels that know probably a lot more than I do about this stuff, but you don't need to know a lot about it to have fun with it. You know, I think a lot of times the biggest problem with resin casting that I see where people the problem people have is they have some idea, like a specific, outcome that they're trying to get, and it doesn't work exactly. You don't get that exact thing. So the best advice I have is to not get stuck on getting exactly what you have pictured in your mind. Understand that I think that getting specific results is probably one of the hardest things to do in casting. So just keep your mind open. Most of the time, it may not be exactly what you had in mind, but a lot of times, you get surprised, and it turns out, better sometimes than you expected, or at least just different, something totally different. So just keep your mind open when you're doing this stuff, and you'll definitely have a lot more fun with it. It doesn't pay to get upset when you're trying to go for something. A lot of times, if you are trying to get very specific results, not to say that you can't, but it may require testing, doing many tests before you actually get things down. So just keep that in mind. Let's see here. I'm just scrolling up. I want to make sure. From Vacaville, that's right over the mountains. Sweet. How's it going, Be Well? I don't think I'm seeing. Well, Art asked, how did I do with the ornament? I didn't actually enter the ornament contest myself, so I didn't. I'm an affiliate for Turner's Warehouse. It just didn't seem like the right thing. I don't need to win prizes. I wanted to let other people win the prizes. So I threw out some. I did the three ornaments, and I wanted to make sure that they got auctioned so that they were raising money. But I didn't need to be entered into the contest myself. The other thing is I'm also a sponsor. I'm one of the prize people, so it didn't make sense to to actually be part of the contest itself. But I need to check on that because I think the auctions are happening soon, and I'm not entirely sure. So let's see here. Yeah, you just dump it and get what you get. I know, honestly, and that's how I typically do things a lot. It just worrying about it is not that big of a deal. And this is actually, a lot of people, I get emailed all the time about, oh, can you make this very specific blank, or I have this thing that I want made. I don't really do custom orders because I don't like that. It's stressful trying to get very specific things for people. So I stay away from it, and I find that what I do on the stream, I don't care what happens really. It doesn't make any difference to me. There's no money riding on it or anything. I mean, yes, there's material costs, but I'm experimenting, and it helps me to kind of keep my mind clear, to not get upset. I don't care what happens really. Worst case scenario, I'm going to learn a lesson. I'm going to learn what not to do, or sometimes you may learn something that would work somewhere else. So just little things like that. So let's see here. Okay, I think I got everything. So if I missed any questions, I apologize. But Exotic Tones is asking about when was the contest. So it was the Turner's Warehouse Ornament Challenge, and it just ended. You had to have your ornament to Turner's Warehouse by the 9th. So they closed that up. I think judging might be over with at this point, and then next is going to be auctions. So it's a contest for prizes, judged kind of thing, and then but it's also an auction for St. Jude. So all of the ornaments people sent in are going to be auctioned off, and then all the proceeds go to St. Jude. So it's a really fun challenge thing at the end of the year. And somebody's going to win a gift, or maybe a couple people will win a gift card from me. But there was really good prizes this year. I think there was at least one lathe, if not a couple lathes up for grabs for some of these. And people really, the ornaments this year were ridiculously good. So they were good last year even. But so it's over on the 9th, and then I don't know when the auctions are. That's the only thing. I'm pretty sure that they've actually chosen winners at this point. I believe that's true. So Anyway, guys, all right, so I'm going to get rolling here. So again, thank you guys all for joining the fun tonight. Thank you to the super chatters for helping support the show and picking some awesome colors. So the next stream probably will be Wednesday next week. Sorry I didn't get one up this week. Things are just getting kind of crazy. Getting a little overwhelmed with some of the stuff, trying to keep it up. But so we did the snake sheds, and this is only one. These are two Sierra blanks. I made two of them and prepped them just because we'll have to see how these things end up turning out. They might actually fly apart on me. So we'll try to turn a pen on Wednesday, see how the snake sheds did in the pen blank form. And then next Friday, I don't know if I have anything planned yet, but we'll be back doing a little bit of resin casting. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful evening. Have a great weekend. Get in the shop, and then I'm going to have the snake sheds replay. That was the Patreon live stream hangout demo. I'm going to try and get that thing edited down and up maybe tomorrow, hopefully, so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about with these snake sheds. And then I'm trying to get a video up on Sunday that should be ready to go. So I actually forget which one it is. So anyway, there should be a regular video Sunday. Probably I made a new, I guess it's actually not the project that I was talking about. It's the burl mold, a faux burl mold that I made. I don't know. We'll have to see what it is. Should be up Sunday. And then the other thing, hopefully I'll get it up tomorrow. If not, then it's Monday. So anyway, have a great evening tonight, guys, and I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys on the next live stream.